Okay, this is macroeconomics lesson 2.4, where we're going to be talking about inflation. And what I want to do today is go over the consumer price index and how to calculate inflation from the consumer price index. And so this is going to be a page that's in your workbooks. And I really want to just quickly define the consumer price index. And this is going to be a measure of the price changes in the prices of goods and services that are commonly bought by consumers. And so one of the things that the United States is going to track is the consumer price index for urban consumers, which is going to be most of the people that are in our economy. And these goods and services that they track actually came out in the most recent inflation update today, and they're going to track all these items, food, and that includes food at a restaurant, that includes alcohol, that includes food that you buy at the grocery store, energy, home heating, fuel, electricity. It also includes cars, new and used clothing, medical care, transportation services, which are like airplanes and air travel, hotels, rent. There's so many things included in here. These are most of the things that most Americans that are in urban centers or in suburban areas will be purchasing. And so what we do in the United States, going back to consumer price index, is we're going to find the prices of all of these things. And the things that we purchase more often are going to be given more weight. And the things that we don't purchase as much, maybe like hotel rooms or air travel, we don't give as much. And so things are given more weight or more importance depending on what they are and how often we purchase them. So what we're going to do first is we're going to find the CPI for any 1 year. And what we'll do there is we will calculate, we'll add up all the prices, I should say, in order to calculate a total market basket. From there, we can calculate CPI, and then once we have that, we can calculate inflation. As you can see in the formula highlighted in blue, that inflation is going to be the percent change in CPI. So going through my math now, what I'm going to do is I have 3 items, and I'm going to take these 3 items and I'm going to calculate my total basket price. And so I know right now I've got a whole pizza, so this is going to be item number 1. I've got magazines, and I have some soda. And the quantity that I have in the base here, this is going to be similar to the weight, or how much a good is going to be counted, or how much weight it has in the total calculation. How important is it? So right now, it looks like I have 30 pizzas that are going to be purchased at $5 each. So my price in the base year is going to be $150 that is spent on pizzas. I have 40 magazines at $6 each, so it's going to be $240 spent on magazines, and then 6 times $1.50 is going to be $90 spent on soda. And I'll add in some dollar signs here. So when I add up my entire basket, this is going to be $480. So what I could do is I could find the CPI for the first year, and I can actually do this in my head. The cost of my basket in the current period will be $480. The cost of the basket in my base period, and I should define the base period. The base period is going to be the year that we're using to see how much our prices have changed since that period of time. And the base year will either be given to you in one of 2 ways. One, it'll tell you, and that's what I'm doing here. I am telling you this is the base year. Or you will notice the base year will always have a CPI of 100. And I can prove that here. The cost of my basket now is $480. The cost of the basket in my base year, which is right now, is also $480. So 480 divided by 480, 1 times 100 will get me a CPI, and I can actually add this in right here. CPI in my base year is going to equal 100. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pause the video, and I'm going to allow you to fill in the total basket costs for year 1 and year 2. Once we do that, we can work together to calculate the CPIs for year 1 and year 2. Okay, so in year 1, it looks like I spent $530 buying those same 3 items: pizzas, magazines, and sodas. Year 2, I spent even more. I spent $580. So what I'm going to do now is use my first formula that I have right here, my CPI formula, and I'm going to use these to calculate CPI. And I can actually do this a little bit on the side over here. I have my current period, and if I'm going to find the CPI for year number 1, I'm going to have my current period's price of $530 divided by the base period's basket price, which was $480. I will do this, and then once I get my answer, I'm going to multiply that by 100, and that will get me a CPI of 110.4. And so that will be my CPI for year 1, and I'll add this in right here. My CPI is going to be 110.4. I'll do it again for year number 2, and I'll do this on the side. My CPI for year 2 will be 580 divided by the base period's basket price, which was 480. And I'm going to multiply that by 100, and I'm going to get 120.8. That will equal 120.8. So I now have my 3 CPIs. So my CPI will equal 120.8. What I can do now is quickly go through some of these answers that I have. So the column that indicates the market basket, that is going to be my item column right here. I'll do this in a different color, item. What column indicates the weight? Well, I've said that already. That's going to be the quantity. What is the cost of buying the base year items in year 2? Well, we've said that, and we've already calculated that to be $580. Whoops, I'm deleting things. And the CPI for year 2, we've already calculated that to be 120.8. And now the percentage increase in prices from the base year to year 2. So now I'm going to need my CPI, and I'm going to need this formula up here. The change in CPI divided by the beginning CPI. And I want to just state one thing really quickly. This is the percent change formula. And one way that you can remember the percent change formula is just by writing the word out no with 2 O's. So if you think about no here, this will help you. So what it's going to be is the new CPI minus the old, so the N and the O, divided by the old, but then times 100. So it's going to be new minus old divided by old will get you that. So what we'll do here is we'll keep that formula in mind, and we're going to calculate from the base year to year 2. So my new CPI is going to be 120.8, and my original CPI, the old one, because I'm talking about the base year, will be 100. And then I will divide that by the old CPI, multiply that by 100, and that should get me an inflation rate of 20.8%. My stylus is up to no good. Again, there we go. 20.8% should be my answer for question number 5. I'll do it in purple. So that was a percent change in my CPI. So prices across the board went up 20.8% in those 2 years, from the base year up to year 2. I'm going to have you do these next 2 on your own. I'll pause the video. I do want you to just be careful. In question number 6, I'm asking about the inflation rate between year 1 and year 2, not the base year, year 2. So be careful there. Okay, I have the question. Okay, I have the answers for questions number 6 and number 7. And number 6, the inflation rate between years 1 and 2 was 9.4%. And I have that over here. If I can scroll down and across, if it will let me. There we are. Oh. Here we go. 120.8 minus 110.4 divided by 110.4 is going to get you 0.094 times 100 will get you 9.4%. And then I also have 3.77% for my answer for the last question. 305.5 minus 294.4, new minus old, divided by the old. And that times 100 will get you 3.77. And I really quickly just want to end this discussion on calculating inflation by looking at the actual inflation rate for the month of October in 2022. The CPI for all urban consumers rose 0.4% in October. So it was just that month. And the number that we're going to focus on for us in our class is a 7% increase compared to last year. So inflation now is at 7.7%. And again, it's awfully high and staying high too, which is another concern. We'll discuss that later on this year.